Cabin 1. Zeus. The very first cabin belongs to Zeus, king of the gods, and it dominates Camp Half-Blood like a fortress. Built from white marble, it resembles a temple with bronze doors polished to reflect streaks of lightning when sunlight hits them. Inside, the ceiling displays a mosaic of blue and white clouds, and the walls are lined with alcoves holding golden eagle statues. The interior is intentionally sparse, containing little more than a bed for the current occupant. At the center stands a 22-foot statue of Zeus, poised with a lightning bolt raised to strike. Children of Zeus inherit powers tied to the sky and storms. Their primary ability is electrokinesis, the control of electricity, ranging from small shocks to full lightning strikes. They also possess aerokinesis, the power to manipulate air and wind, which can create vortexes, sustain limited flight, or provide breathable air underwater. Together, these abilities form weather manipulation, allowing them to summon storms, tornadoes, and thunderstorms. The design of the cabin reflects the children who live there. They are often described as natural leaders, strong-willed and commanding, with an intimidating presence even among other demigods. They feel an affinity for high places such as mountains and aircraft, though this does not make them immune to fear of heights or injury from falls. Cabin 2. Hera. Next stands Cabin 2, the domain of Hera, queen of the gods and goddess of marriage. It resembles Zeus's cabin in design, but on a smaller scale. The bronze doors are engraved with peacock feathers that shimmer in shifting colors, and the exterior is decorated with pomegranates and flowering vines, both symbols of fertility and fidelity. The decorative exterior contrasts with the interior, which is deliberately barren. White columns encircle a central statue of Hera, and the cold, empty space emphasizes its function as a shrine rather than a dormitory. Hera does not produce demigod children. As the goddess of marriage and fidelity, she remains loyal to Zeus and does not take mortal partners. This makes Cabin 2 unique among the Olympian cabins. It has no residence and no bunk beds, serving only as a symbolic structure. Its presence at Camp Half-Blood reflects Hera's authority and her role as protector of marriage, even if no demigods ever claim it as home. Cabin 3. Poseidon. Facing the ocean, Cabin 3 marks the power of Poseidon, god of the sea and earthquakes. The building is long and low, built from rough gray stone with seashells and bits of coral pressed into its surface. All the windows face the ocean, reflecting its connection to the sea. Inside, the air is cool and damp, with the faint smell of salt water. The space is plain and sparsely furnished, centered around a fountain used for iris messaging, which allows communication beyond the camp. Decorations are minimal, with the cabin's simplicity reflecting the small number of Poseidon's children. The powers of these demigods are rooted in hydrokinesis, the ability to control water in all its forms. They can shape currents, summon waves, and even draw on ice or vapor when needed. Contact with water restores their strength, speeds up healing, and provides endurance in battle. They also possess natural resistance to pressure and extreme temperatures, allowing them to survive safely in deep seas. Some can sense their exact position in the ocean, giving them an innate ability for navigation. Beyond water, Poseidon's children show ties to his wider domains. They can communicate with and command sea creatures, and they share a bond with horses, which Poseidon is also said to have created. Because Poseidon is the Earthshaker, his children may inherit limited control over tremors, though this ability is rare and largely untested in canon. In temperament, they often mirror the sea itself, steady and supportive one moment, but impulsive and storm-driven the next. Cabin 4. Demeter. Covered in vines and grass, Cabin 4 reflects Demeter's role as goddess of agriculture and harvest. The building is covered in greenery, with grass growing across the roof and vines climbing its walls. The porch is decorated with wildflowers and roses, and the cabin itself is painted a light brown to resemble fertile soil. Inside, the floor is layered with soft grass, and an oak tree rises through the center to support the ceiling. The effect is that of a living treehouse, blending comfort with the presence of nature. The children of Demeter possess chlorokinesis, the ability to control and manipulate plants. They can accelerate growth, shape vegetation, and weaponize crops to restrain or overwhelm opponents. In natural settings, their powers are strongest, but even in cities they can coax life from seeds they keep with them. Among the most gifted, some can summon karpoi, grain spirits that can be used in combat or defense. Beyond their battlefield abilities, Cabin 4 plays a practical role in camp life. They cultivate and maintain the vast strawberry fields within Camp Half-Blood, ensuring crops grow year-round. The harvest is sold and the revenue funds the camp's operations. This makes the children of Demeter essential not only for their powers, but also for the camp's survival and stability. In character, they reflect both the nurturing and relentless aspects of nature. Calm and steady when conditions are favorable, but capable of unleashing sudden growth or overwhelming force when threatened, they embody the dual role of Demeter as provider and defender. Cabin 5, Ares. Cabin 5 stands strong, home to the children of Ares, god of war. The building resembles a fortress more than a home, painted in a rough red with a roof lined in barbed wire. Mounted above the entrance is the head of a boar, one of Ares' sacred animals, serving as both a warning and a symbol of ferocity. Inside, the space is cramped and noisy. Rows of heavy bunks press against the walls, weapons and shields are stacked in corners, and the air carries the smell of leather, oil, and metal. The constant clang of sparring or sharpening blades gives the cabin the feel of an armory rather than a dormitory. The children of Ares are natural warriors. They are born with greater strength, speed, and endurance than most demigods, and they have an instinctive talent for combat. Their affinity with weapons borders on supernatural, allowing them to pick up and master almost any blade, spear, or shield with ease. Many also project a battle aura, an intimidating presence that unsettles enemies while emboldening allies, giving them an edge before the fight even begins. Despite their reputation for recklessness, Ares' children are not only brawlers. They inherit tactical sense as well as aggression, able to plan attacks and organize defenses when the camp comes under threat. Inside their own cabin, tempers often run high, with frequent sparring matches that sometimes erupt into full brawls. Yet, when united against an outside enemy, they form one of the most disciplined and fearsome fighting units in Camp Half-Blood. Cabin 6, Athena. Cabin 6 belongs to Athena, goddess of wisdom, strategy, and crafts, and it looks as disciplined as its occupants. The building is built from gray stone with an owl carved above the doorway, representing her symbol. White curtains hang in the windows, giving the cabin a simple but dignified appearance. Inside, the space functions as both a library and a workshop. Tables are covered with scrolls, maps, and models of cities, while shelves hold books and blueprints. Workbenches are filled with tools and half-finished designs. The bunks are pushed to the walls, showing that study and planning come before rest. Athena's children are created differently from most demigods. Known as brain children, they are said to be born from the goddess's mind rather than through a mortal union, carrying her intelligence directly. Their abilities are not elemental but intellectual. They excel at strategy, architecture, engineering, and invention. In battle, they can analyze situations quickly, anticipate enemy moves, and design traps or formations that turn the tide. Their talent for planning often makes them indispensable leaders. These strengths also shape their personalities. Athena's children are confident, disciplined, and often take command naturally. However, this intellect can lead to hubris, the belief that their judgment surpasses everyone else's. That overconfidence can create friction with allies or blind them to flaws in their own plans. In Camp Half-Blood, Cabin 6 represents the idea that every victory begins with knowledge, and that wisdom can be as powerful a weapon as any blade. Cabin 7, Apollo. At first glance, Cabin 7 looks modest, but when the sun touches its walls, the entire structure glows as though made of solid gold. This radiant effect transforms it into one of the most striking cabins in Camp Half-Blood. Inside, the space is bright and orderly, arranged for both living and training. Rows of bunks line the walls to house its large population, and at the center is a hearth that doubles as an infirmary, where Apollo's children treat the injured. Instruments, archery targets, and medical supplies are scattered throughout, reflecting the wide range of Apollo's domains: healing, music, poetry, and prophecy. The children of Apollo inherit diverse gifts. Many are unmatched in archery, their accuracy and speed setting them apart even among demigods. Others excel in music and poetry, using their voices or instruments to inspire allies or lift morale, abilities often compared to a form of magical influence. A large number develop skills in healing, able to accelerate natural recovery, close wounds, cure poison, and ease pain through divine energy and herbal remedies. On rare occasions, some inherit a trace of prophecy, receiving brief glimpses of the future, though never with the clarity or consistency of the camp's oracle. These powers shape their daily lives and personalities. Apollo's children are often expressive and competitive, drawn to performance whether in battle, music, or leadership. They can appear boastful, but their drive for recognition mirrors their father's own brilliance and ego. Within Camp Half-Blood, they are indispensable. Archers on the battlefield, medics in the infirmary, and performers who bring life to the camp, embodying the many roles of Apollo himself. Cabin 8. Artemis. Cabin 8 is dedicated to Artemis, goddess of the moon, the hunt, and wilderness. The building is crafted from silver materials that shimmer under moonlight, and at night it glows faintly as though lit from within. The design is simple but striking, reflecting Artemis's purity and independence. Inside, the furnishings are minimal. Plain silver bunks, bare walls, and little decoration beyond moon symbols. The cabin is functional rather than comfortable, prepared for temporary guests rather than permanent residents. Because Artemis is a maiden goddess, she does not have demigod children, and Cabin 8 has no regular occupants. Instead, it serves as lodging for the Hunters of Artemis whenever they visit Camp Half-Blood. The Hunters are a band of maidens who have sworn loyalty to the goddess, traveling the world to hunt monsters and carry out her missions. Upon joining, the Hunters are granted agelessness, meaning they cease to grow older, though they can still be killed in battle or by injury. They gain heightened senses, exceptional skill in archery and tracking, and animal-like instincts that make them unmatched hunters. Many retain the abilities of their divine parent if they were demigods before taking the oath. Together, these gifts make the Hunters of Artemis one of the most formidable groups allied with the Olympians, even though Cabin 8 itself remains empty most of the year. Cabin 9. Hephaestus. Cabin 9 resembles a forge more than a home, built for the children of Hephaestus, god of fire, forges, and craftsmanship. From the outside, it resembles an industrial bunker built from bronze and iron panels with a heavy vault-like door. Smoke and heat often vent from the roof, giving the impression that the cabin itself is always at work. Inside, the air is hot and filled with the scent of oil and smoke. Workbenches, gears, and scraps of metal cover every surface, while half-finished machines stand in various stages of construction. The bunks are reinforced compartments built into the walls, designed more like storage than furniture. The cabin's constant clanging and hammering make it feel like a forge first and a dormitory second. The children of Hephaestus inherit a natural mastery of mechanics and invention. They can design weapons, armor, and even automatons with instinctive precision. Many display technopathy, the ability to sense flaws, diagnose malfunctions, and manipulate machinery almost intuitively. On rare occasions, a child of Hephaestus is born with pyrokinesis, the power to create and control fire. This ability is feared within the cabin, remembered as a curse, since one of their ancestors with this gift is said to have burned down an entire city. Their talents extend beyond the workshop. Hephaestus's children are skilled fighters, often wielding weapons of their own creation. They are known for their reliability and loyalty, forming the backbone of the camp's defenses. Though they can appear withdrawn, absorbed in their projects, they are problem solvers who provide solutions in crises and keep the camp running. Cabin 9 embodies their nature, unpolished, hardworking, and indispensable. The mechanical heart of Camp Half-Blood. Cabin 10. Aphrodite. With pink walls, Cabin 10 reflects Aphrodite's domain of love and beauty. From the outside, it resembles a perfectly kept cottage, painted in soft pink with white trim. Lace curtains hang in the windows, and flower boxes overflow with roses and carnations. The pastel doorway adds to its charm, making it one of the most decorative cabins in Camp Half-Blood. Inside, the air is heavy with perfume, and every surface is arranged with precision. Mirrors, makeup tools, and carefully chosen fabrics dominate the space, giving it a polished and elegant appearance. Behind the neat arrangement, however, lies the sense that presentation matters more than comfort. The children of Aphrodite inherit beauty and allure beyond that of normal mortals. Their most notable gift is charm speak, the ability to influence others through their voice. This power is rare but potent, ranging from subtle persuasion to commands that are difficult to resist, especially for those unprepared to counter it. In addition, they possess exceptional social awareness, reading emotions with ease and manipulating dynamics within groups. Some use these skills to mediate and reconcile conflicts, while others exploit them to sow rivalries or gain advantage. Though not warriors in the traditional sense, the children of Aphrodite wield influence as effectively as any weapon. Their charm speak can disarm an opponent or turn allies against one another, shifting the outcome of battles without a sword being drawn. Their beauty and charisma mask a sharp edge, reminding everyone at Camp Half-Blood that love is not only gentle, but also dangerous, and that persuasion itself can be the most subtle form of power. Cabin 11. Hermes. Cabin 11 is dedicated to Hermes, god of travelers, merchants, and thieves. From the outside, it looks plain and worn, with faded paint and weathered wood. Inside, the cabin is perpetually crowded. Bunks creak under the weight of too many campers, and belongings spill into every available space. The air carries a mix of sweat, food, and the faint tang of mischief, with winged shoes, lockpicks, and half-finished pranks scattered across the floor. For most of Camp Half-Blood's history, Cabin 11 also served as the overflow cabin, housing all unclaimed demigods. Only after the gods swore to acknowledge all their children did this role diminish. But the legacy of being a refuge for the unclaimed remains central to its identity. The children of Hermes inherit their father's versatility. They are fast, agile, and resourceful, often excelling in whatever task is needed. Many display skill in stealth and thievery, such as picking locks, moving unseen, or slipping through defenses. Others show a knack for navigation and travel, rarely losing their way even in unfamiliar terrain. Hermes' influence as messenger and merchant also gives his children an instinct for persuasion and bargaining, allowing them to strike deals or talk their way out of danger. This versatility shaped not only their powers, but also the culture of the cabin. Life in Cabin 11 blends mischief with resilience. The true children of Hermes embrace cunning and pranks, keeping camp life unpredictable. At the same time, the cabin's history as a home for the unclaimed makes it a place of belonging for those who once felt overlooked. This dual role defines Hermes' children: clever tricksters, loyal friends, and unpredictable opponents, embodying their father's speed, cunning, and adaptability. Cabin 12. Dionysus. Cabin 12 is dedicated to Dionysus, god of wine, festivity, and madness. The exterior is draped with climbing grapevines that twist up the walls and across the roof, filling the air with a faint, sweet scent of fruit and earth. Inside, the cabin is simple but carries hints of its patron. Rows of plain bunks line the walls, while creeping vines occasionally push through cracks and spread across the floor or ceiling. Fabrics in wine red and deep green add touches of color, but the overall effect is practical rather than ornate, a space more defined by nature than decoration. The children of Dionysus inherit powers tied to growth and influence. They possess chlorokinesis, the ability to command vines, grapes, and other plants, often working alongside Demeter's children to maintain the strawberry fields. These fields are more than symbolic. They fund the entire camp through their year-round harvest. Some of Dionysus's children also reflect his wilder nature, with the rare ability to induce brief states of confusion or disorientation in others. This subtle power echoes their father's association with wine and madness, making them unpredictable opponents when pushed into conflict. These abilities connect directly to their place in camp life. By sustaining the strawberry fields, they play a central role in Camp Half-Blood survival and finances. In battle, their strength is indirect but significant, manipulating vines to control terrain or unbalancing enemies through confusion. Cabin 12 embodies Dionysus's paradoxical nature, providers of sustenance and stability on one hand, but also agents of chaos when circumstances demand it. Every hidden advantage of the cabins at Camp Half-Blood. When people talk about the cabins at Camp Half-Blood, they usually focus on powers: lightning, fire, water, combat skill. This video is about something different. This is a breakdown of every hidden advantage the cabins carry. Not secret abilities, not lost lore, but practical edges that shape survival, influence, leadership, and long-term outcomes across the series. Once you stop looking at cabins as power sets and start looking at how they actually affect results, Camp Half-Blood starts making a lot more sense. Hermes Cabin. Hidden advantage: information control. Hermes kids sit at the center of camp life without ever running it. Their role puts them everywhere. They move between cabins, they carry messages, they deliver supplies, they overhear arguments and alliances forming in real time. That constant movement turns into information dominance. Hermes campers know who's feuding, who's lying, who's planning something reckless, and who needs help before problems escalate. They learn patterns, they know schedules, they understand how the camp actually functions beneath the surface. In any conflict, the group that knows more reacts faster. Hermes Cabin consistently knows more than anyone else. Information also creates leverage. Knowing who is angry, who is scared, and who is planning something reckless allows Hermes kids to influence outcomes without confrontation. They can warn the right people, delay bad decisions, or accelerate good ones. Over time, this shapes the camp's stability far more than combat strength. Aphrodite Cabin. Hidden advantage, influence. Aphrodite kids understand how emotions shape behavior. Attention, loyalty, jealousy, trust, attraction. These forces quietly determine outcomes at Camp Half-Blood far more often than combat ability. They influence who feels confident, who hesitates, who feels supported, and who feels isolated. Alliances shift. Conflicts cool down or intensify. Decisions change direction. Influence creates outcomes without confrontation. In a camp full of fighters, the ability to redirect people without fighting becomes one of the most powerful advantages of all. Influence compounds. Once people associate Aphrodite kids with confidence, approval, or reassurance, others seek them out naturally. That creates feedback loops of trust and dependence. In high-stress environments, emotional anchors become power centers, even if no one openly acknowledges them as such. Demeter Cabin. Hidden advantage, sustainability. Demeter kids control growth, agriculture, and renewal. That power rarely looks impressive in battle, but it defines survival over time. They influence food supply. They influence recovery after damage. They influence how quickly the camp returns to normal after disaster. In prolonged danger, strength fades. Resources decide everything. A camp that eats well, recovers faster, and maintains stability outlasts stronger enemies. Demeter Cabin keeps Camp Half-Blood functioning when endurance matters more than heroics. Long-term survival rarely looks dramatic. Food supply, recovery speed, and environmental stability work quietly in the background. Camps that ignore sustainability burn out faster, even if they win early battles. Demeter Cabin prevents that slow collapse, which makes their contribution invisible until it's gone. Apollo Cabin. Hidden advantage, morale, and recovery. Apollo kids stabilize the camp physically and emotionally. Healing reduces casualties. Music calms fear. Prophecy gives direction when confusion spreads. Groups with high morale perform better, make fewer mistakes, and recover faster from loss. Panic spreads quickly in dangerous environments, and Apollo Cabin slows that spread. By maintaining emotional balance and physical recovery, this cabin prevents collapse during extended crises. Survival depends on resilience, and Apollo Cabin reinforces it constantly. Recovery also preserves experience. Injured or emotionally drained demigods lose effectiveness even after surviving combat. Apollo Cabin shortens that downtime. More veterans stay active. Knowledge stays in circulation. That continuity strengthens the entire camp across multiple conflicts. Hephaestus Cabin. Hidden advantage, pre-fight control. Hephaestus kids influence conflicts long before swords are drawn. Weapons, armor, traps, automatons, defensive systems. Their work shapes how battles unfold. Preparation creates advantage. Well-equipped fighters survive longer. Traps disrupt enemies. Defenses reduce losses. By the time combat begins, the conditions already favor those who prepared. Hephaestus Cabin controls those conditions. Their advantage lies in shaping outcomes before anyone realizes a fight is coming. Preparation also reduces randomness. Fewer surprises mean fewer catastrophic losses. Traps, armor upgrades, and defensive planning limit how much chance influences outcomes. In mythological warfare, reducing randomness often matters more than increasing raw power. Ares Cabin. Hidden advantage, psychological pressure. Ares kids bring intensity into every situation. Their presence raises aggression, fear, and emotional volatility in others. Opponents rush decisions. Allies push harder. Discipline erodes under pressure. Once order collapses, raw aggression thrives. Coordination breaks down. Mistakes multiply. Ares Cabin turns emotional instability into a weapon, and in close combat situations, that pressure often decides the winner. Chaos favors those prepared for it. Ares kids grow up training in unstable, high-pressure environments where fear and aggression are constant. That conditions them to function when situations fall apart. While other cabins rely on coordination and planning, Ares campers adapt instantly to disorder. When strategies collapse and battles turn messy, they remain effective. This gives them an advantage in ambushes, surprise attacks, and emotionally charged confrontations where calm thinking disappears. Their strength increases as structure breaks down. Athena Cabin. Hidden advantage, outcome prediction. Athena kids excel at pattern recognition and foresight. They anticipate consequences early and identify weaknesses before situations escalate. That foresight prevents catastrophic mistakes. Poor plans never develop fully. Dangerous paths get avoided. Survival improves when disasters never happen in the first place. Athena Cabin stays effective by reducing risk rather than reacting to it. Avoided disasters never get credit. Plans that fail quietly never make it into stories. Athena Cabin's advantage lies in preventing moments that would have become legendary failures. Their success leaves less evidence behind, which makes it easy to underestimate. Poseidon Cabin. Hidden advantage, environmental advantage. Poseidon kids draw strength, stamina, and confidence from water. Camp Half-Blood's location makes this a constant advantage. Recovery improves. Endurance lasts longer. Confidence grows naturally in familiar terrain. This environmental edge compounds over time. Repeated exposure builds resilience and effectiveness. Terrain shapes power, and Poseidon Cabin benefits from the camp's geography every day. Environmental familiarity also shapes confidence. Poseidon kids feel grounded near water, which improves reaction time and decision-making under stress. Confidence reduces hesitation, and hesitation often decides fights. Over time, repeated exposure to favorable terrain creates a feedback loop. Stronger recovery leads to better performance, which builds experience, which further improves confidence. That compounding effect explains why Poseidon campers often outperform expectations even when facing stronger opponents. Dionysus Cabin. Hidden advantage, mental resilience. Dionysus kids process chaos differently. Stress, fear, emotional overload, and instability affect them less. In prolonged danger, mental endurance matters as much as physical strength. Panic ruins decision-making. Burnout weakens even powerful fighters. This cabin remains functional when others falter. Sanity becomes a survival trait, and Dionysus Cabin preserves it. Mental resilience also affects leadership under pressure. Demigods who resist panic think more clearly when plans fail. Dionysus kids tolerate uncertainty, emotional instability, and prolonged stress without breaking focus. That makes them valuable during drawn-out threats, cursed environments, or psychologically destabilizing encounters. While others burn energy managing fear, this cabin conserves it. Endurance at the mental level often outlasts physical strength in prolonged conflict. Artemis and the Hunters. Hidden advantage, autonomy. The Hunters operate outside Camp Half-Blood's internal structure. No rivalries, no hierarchy pressure, no expectations. They move independently, choose their engagements, and avoid internal politics entirely. That autonomy makes them unpredictable and difficult to manipulate. Freedom allows flexibility, and flexibility wins in unstable environments. Autonomy also removes internal friction. The Hunters avoid the emotional strain caused by rivalries, expectations, and social hierarchy. That absence of internal conflict preserves focus. They choose when to engage, when to withdraw, and when to observe. That control over commitment prevents overextension and unnecessary losses. In unpredictable environments, selective engagement increases survival more reliably than raw power. Zeus Cabin. Hidden advantage, authority. Zeus kids command attention naturally. Camp culture mirrors Olympus. People listen, people hesitate, people follow. In crises, authority accelerates decision-making. Fewer arguments, faster responses, clear direction. Leadership forms around this cabin without effort, and that clarity prevents chaos during critical moments. Authority also simplifies coordination. When leadership is recognized immediately, fewer resources are wasted on debate. Orders move faster, groups align quicker. In emergencies, delayed decisions cost lives. Zeus Cabin accelerates response time by providing a focal point for action. Even reluctant leaders benefit from the structure authority creates. That efficiency matters most when seconds determine outcomes. Hera Cabin. Hidden advantage, structural power. Hera has no demigod children, yet her cabin exists as a symbol of unity and order. It functions as neutral ground. Planning happens here, mediation works here, stability takes priority here. Power sometimes manifests through structure rather than force. Hera Cabin represents the framework that keeps everything else from collapsing. Structural power influences continuity. Hera's domain governs bonds, alliances, and long-term cohesion. Her cabin represents permanence rather than reaction. When crises pass, this structure prevents fragmentation. Relationships repair faster. Trust rebuilds sooner. Planning resumes without lingering instability. Camps collapse not only from attacks, but from failing to recover afterward. Hera Cabin reinforces the framework that allows Camp Half-Blood to reset instead of unravel. Camp Half-Blood survives repeated threats because no single cabin carries the load alone. Each hidden advantage supports a different layer of stability. information, morale, preparation, leadership, sustainability, and mental resilience. Remove any one of them and cracks appear quickly. The camp functions because these advantages overlap, reinforce each other, and compensate for weaknesses elsewhere. Hidden advantages rarely look impressive in isolation. They reveal themselves through outcomes, through survival, through leadership, through stability. Once you start seeing cabins this way, Camp Half-Blood stops feeling random and starts feeling deliberately designed. A lot of these advantages get ignored, but one of them matters more than the rest. Tell me which cabin you think actually holds the camp together, and subscribe if you want more Percy Jackson deep dives without the fluff.